I'll get the hang of it one day, folks. Anyway, I thought this morning, let's put that back over there. I thought this morning I'd show you me cock. Oh, sorry, I meant me clock. Let's just move you back over this way. Lift you up a bit. Oh, you need to lose some weight, you people, you know, look at you. You're getting heavier. Anyway, let's zoom you in a bit. Just get it right in the right place. There we go. I'll leave that on for a minute in case I leave the aerial up on that for a minute in case I have to make a fine adjustment. There we go. There's a nice little clock I purchased on Sunday. I know it's not an electronic clock, and this channel is electronics predominantly, but I just thought I'd show you this. I purchased this on Sunday. I gave £5 for it, and in all honesty, it's not bad. I mean, it's it came with the key, and luckily the pendulum was still with it. the glass on the front's missing. That's about it. And if we turn it round, it's been working all night, this. I sorted it out on Sunday, and we're still ticking. The case is not in bad condition, and I'll give you a look at the movement. And there's the movement. As you can see, little pendulum swinging there. I'm just in the middle of regulating it, to be honest, so that it keeps the right time. The chimes work. It's the Westminster chimes on this one. It chimes, does a main chime on the hour. It does or should I rephrase that and say it does a strike on the hour, and it does a small chime on the quarter past the hour. You get a bit more on half past the hour, a bit more on quarter to the hour, and you get the full Westminster chime on the full chime on the hour, as well as the hourly strike. And basically, this is a German clock. It's the branding on it is foreign. That's all it says on it. There are some numbers on it. I've not managed to work them out yet. And I have had a couple of issues with this. Basically getting it running consistently. It turned out that there was 2 issues with it. Well, there was 3 issues with it. The main one being dirt, which I cleaned it the best I could without taking it apart. Really, it could have been done with being chucked in an ultrasonic cleaner, but I don't have one, so I cleaned it with IPA and cotton buds, and then oiled it back up afterwards. And you know, there's no plastic in this clock. It's all metal. Every part of it is either steel or brass. I'm not sure what the pendulum's made out of. You know, the actual weight on the pendulum, not sure what that's made of. But the pendulum itself is brass. The pivot pins are steel. The gears are all brass from what I can see. The bars that form the chime They're brass. The hammers are brass with like, I think they've got rubber pads on them or something. But yeah, it's for what it is. I mean, it is what it is. It's a good old clock. They certainly don't make them like this anymore. But there again, I believe they do. You know, I think you can still buy foreign mechanisms, foreign movements. I think they were. Well, I know they were German. I've done a bit of reading on them, and they were German. And the reason why they were branded as foreign was because at the end of World War Two, right at the end of World War Two, people in Britain and America weren't very keen on buying German products. So instead of saying where they were made or who they were made by, they just labelled them as foreign, branded them as foreign, and sent them out. And I'm not a clock expert, by the way. I don't usually mess with clocks, but I have a friend called Fred, who does play with clocks. He told me he's not an expert as well, but he's a bit more of an expert than I am. He does understand clocks and likes to mess with them, and I've actually seen some of his clocks. But I bought 2 clocks on Sunday. I bought this one and I bought another one which is behind me. The one behind me works, but the pendulum's missing, but I don't fancy that one. So I'm doing a deal with Fred. That one will go to him. But I think that one's a bit more modern. I might show it you in a minute. But I'll get it on the bench in a minute. But there's no pendulum. It has got a key with it though. And oh, wow, yeah, just what you need at what time is it? 9:30 in the morning. This should strike in a minute. Yeah, this is getting ready to strike, because it does strike on the half hour. So we should hear a little noise, and then we should hear the strike. There we are. That's the half hour strike. The half hour chime. I'll tell you what, you know, I've heard these electronic ones and they sound shite, don't they, compared, you know, to a good old traditional, you know, well-made clock. But like I say, the case on this is nice. It's not bad. It needs a polish up. It's got everything it should have, but it was a bit finicky, and as I say, I've seemed to have got it running better. If I have any more issues with it, then I'll just speak to my man Fred and have him do it for me. But I want this for my front room. I want to put it on my mantel shelf in my front room. And let's turn it back round. I had trouble with it running in certain positions. If you put it in certain positions, it would run. Put it in other positions, it wouldn't. And the position I'm putting it in now, it wouldn't run. And it was really, really finicky. But what time is it? I am still in the process of regulating it. So let's have a look at the time now. It's 9:31, and the clock actually does say 9:31, so we're getting, you know, we are actually getting to the point of where it's actually regulated. It's not bad. It's keeping time pretty good now. It is still losing a little bit, but very little. But I did a bit of looking because Fred's away on holiday, and I didn't want to mither him. While he's enjoying his holidays, obviously. I had a look on the internet, and apparently one turn of the adjuster, the adjuster on the pendulum equals one I think it was a woman who was doing the video. I think she said it was 1/2 minute. 1/2 minute for every full turn. So basically 60 seconds. It's turn it. Basically it speeds it up or slows it down. Depending whether you turn it left or right. If you turn it turn it to the right, which is screwing it, moving the pendulum up, then it speeds the clock up. If you turn it to the right, to the left, it brings the pendulum down, which slows the clock down. So I already knew all that. I just didn't know how many turns it took to increase, the turns to minute ratio. I didn't know that because I'm not a clock expert, but I did know that moving the pendulum, I did know which directions speeds it up and slows it down. But yeah, on the subject of clocks, there was a very good docudrama made. It was a 2-part film about a fella most of you probably never even heard of, about a fella from Barrow-on-Humber in Lincolnshire, called John Harrison, and he made the most accurate clocks that were made at that time, and they're still accurate today. And they were made out of wood. Most of the clock was made out of wood, and he did this as a direct response to the longitude at sea problem, finding longitude at sea. I mean, you can find your latitude, that's no problem. Do that with the stars. You do that with a sextant, but you can't find your longitude with a sextant. So, you need to know your time at your home port and the time aboard ship. So, and you can work out where you were, and that's what they couldn't suss out. But you couldn't take a clock like this to sea with a pendulum. That was never going to work, and Harrison understood that. So he invented mechanisms that would work, and he's actually famous for his sea clocks or marine timepieces. Call them what you will. But he also invented, as a direct response to the longitude problem, he also invented the gridiron pendulum, which basically, because basically, I hope I say this the right way around. If I don't, I apologise. Basically, in hot weather, a clock runs slower. In cold weather, a clock runs faster. And what he did, he used iron and brass. He used iron. I think he used iron with a brass core, and the two metals cancelled each other out in temperature changes, so the pendulum stayed the same length. Because what you don't want is your pendulum shrinking or expanding, and that was what he came up with. And his clocks would lose what? They'd lose less than a second a month, easily. They were the most accurate clocks made at that time. I mean, obviously now we've got atomic clocks and stuff like that, but to actually be able to make a mechanism out of wood, mainly out of wood. It did use one or two brass parts, but most of the gears were wood. But to make a mechanism the way he made them mechanisms, and for them to be so accurate, because they were accurate, they were the most accurate clocks of the day, as I say, and therefore, in my eyes, the guy was a genius, and he only started off as a carpenter. And but yeah, the 2-part film was called Longitude, and it's definitely worth a watch. Certainly pardon the pun. But it's definitely worth a look at. Brilliant film. It's got Michael Gambon in it. He plays John Harrison. I can't remember who the other actors are. But yeah, definitely worth a look at, folks. Absolutely, especially if you're into clocks. I mean, I like clocks. I'm not really into them in the way of taking them apart and repairing them. I don't do that. You know, I'm not a neurologist. Obviously not. You know, for you thick fuckers, a neurologist is a clockmaker. But yeah, there we go. Right, so let's give you a look at the other clock. Just see if I can just make a bit of space on the bench. Let's give you a look at the other one. Just put this, I've got this, fuck me. I just moved that fucking oil and now it's ended up, where's it gone? But I'll just say, folks, the other thing about these old clocks, if you're going to mess with them, when you put the movement back in, make sure that the movement is square to the case. Because they're finicky. Make sure the movement is square to the case, and make sure that you put all the screws in. I only put 3 screws in because I couldn't get the other one. I couldn't get my screwdriver to the other one because I couldn't find my magnets. So I thought, sod it. But make sure you put the screws in them, and that way the movement will sit square in the case, and the clock won't be as erratic. And also, try not to disturb when you're messing around the pendulum. Try not to disturb the crotch, the crotch on the mind. Yeah. Anyway, anyway, try not to disturb the crotch, which is the bit the pendulum hangs off, because that'll upset the beat of the clock. And this one at the moment, this sounds really, really good. I mean, this was a bit erratic. I mean, the tick and the tock sounded different. I mean, tick and tock do sound different, but I mean, they didn't sound right. You know, it's you know, like it was sort of like a bit erratic, but now it sounds nice and even. I did make a fine adjustment to the crutch just by moving it very, very slightly. And that seems to have dealt with a load of issues. I mean, we're at 9:40. It's 9:40 in the morning, by the way, and I've still not had my second cup of coffee yet. So I'm not functioning as I should. So what we'll do, we'll move some stuff out of the way, and I'll show you the other timepiece I bought, which I think is a bit more modern. Well, I think it's a lot more modern, but I don't know how old this thing is. I mean, I will find out. I just don't know at this particular time of filming. Well, I'm not really filming, am I? I'm recording because I'm not using film. Although people do say, I filmed this yesterday. You didn't film, fuck all, you recorded it. There is a difference. Because let's not split hairs, eh, folks? But there is a difference. You don't film with a digital camera, you record. But there we go. Anyway, let's move this out of the way. Whoops. I didn't want to do that. Didn't want to jerk it like that. I wanted to do it jerk, but it didn't stop. It has now. There we go. Get it going, just either lift it up on one side. If that fails, just give it a tap. I mean, look at that, it actually starts now. It actually starts and stays running. It wouldn't do that yesterday. Not until about 11 o'clock last night when I finally actually got it squared up in the case and adjusted. I mean, but you know, I don't know anything about clocks. All I know about clocks is to tell you the time. Some tell you the date, some make noises, some don't make noises. You know, that's all I know about them. I'm not, like I say, I'm not a neurologist. Not into that. But I reckon I could actually, there we go. Right, I reckon, let's just zoom out. I reckon I could get into playing with clocks. You know. Oh, pardon me. I've got a, what do you call it, coming. Don't think that this channel's going to start doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things. It's not. We've got a nice meaty Sanyo music centre coming up later, and it is going on the bench today, and there is going to be a video. There's also a video coming up on the Mildred Yamaha amp. It's already on the camera. It's already in the camera. There's two parts. I've got 2 parts recorded of an Alba clock radio up here, and as you can see, I've got. We've also got George with us on the bench. We've got George Formby there. We've got Val Dunican and all. I got this off Mildred a few days ago. He gave me a big box of records. But that's it. So let's get the other timepiece and give you a look at that one. The other one's one you hang on a wall, and I haven't got any idea. It does work, but the shaft in the centre's bent as well. But saying that, it doesn't stop the clock. The clock still runs. See, that's still ticking away now. So, you know, they're very finicky, and you've just got to sort of like, you know, if you're going to work on an old clock, you've got to be patient and, you know, sort of like keep your cool. And I mean, this thing's got no pendulum, but it ticks its head off. It really does work well. Oh, here we go. You might not be able to see all of it. And this is, I'm not sure what the case is made out of. That's my other one chiming. And this one's really ticking its head off. This one only chimes. This one chimes on the hour. I think it does 1/4 the hour. But it's not as fancy as that. It just goes dong. You know, it doesn't actually play a tune, this one. It's just got a coil under there, which gets, if I can open the door, which gets twatted by an hammer. Can I open the door? Yeah. There we are. I don't know. It doesn't smell nice in there. I don't know what this thing's made out of, but the pendulum's missing. You know, I haven't got a clue actually, but this is going to Fred, so it's not really. But it does say 31 day, which means I presume that if you wind it, it will run for 31 days. But I've got a feeling that this is not an original. I mean, this has been worked on. That screw there's the wrong one. It's too big. So this has been worked on. I don't know what this is made of. This is some sort of modern reproduction. And there's your, what do you call it there. If I just tap that with something, you'll hear the sound it can make. In fact, if I turn it, I can turn the hands. Oh, that's good. It's not even hitting the. It's It's not even hitting it now. That was working yesterday. Unless it's because I've not got it level. There we are. Let's go. That's all you get on that one. Yeah, it doesn't do the quarter to. Or the quarter past. Yeah, it just does the half past and the hour. But even so, the dial's in nice condition, so I'm sure Fred will like that. I don't think he'll keep the case. I think he'll put the case into something else. I think he'll put the movement into something else. I don't blame him. This is not very nice. I don't know what movement is in this. I've not actually looked. I know it's not expensive. Ain't got a clue what that is. There's obviously two. There's obviously two springs up there. It looks like it's brass. I mean, most of them are, but it doesn't look as well made as that hammer. Looks like somebody's given it a good twisting over the years. But that's Fred's department. But yeah, it doesn't look as nicely made as that one in that mantle clock. But that's basically that. You see, somebody's had a screw out of it there. I'll tell you what, for shits and giggles, and for you guys that actually like clocks, I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm sure Fred won't mind. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll have a look at the movement if we can, if it doesn't involve too much. Where's it screwed on? I think you have to pull the fucking hands off, to be honest, because it's screwed on here and here. It'll be anchored at the top. No, fuck that. I'm not getting into that. It'll be anchored at the top, and then you've got these four pieces here. This piece of wood here is not original because it would have been cut a lot nicer than that. So we know that's not original. But yeah, I was going to pull the movement out and have a look at it, but I'm not, because it just involves too much. I mean, the hands just screw off. But, you know, it's just too much involved for me to fuck about taking it apart. But the movement is not as nice as that one. That's it. You can tell by the look. Yeah, fuck it. Why not? I've already whetted your appetites now, haven't I? Fuck it. Right, so let's just set this to, there we go, 8:45. So and it's not ticking, so we needn't worry. So we know which way the pointers have to go back on. Has this got a pin? If this has got a pin in it, it ain't coming off, because it's going to be a nightmare. Because Fred said some of them have a pin in them. Well, that one hasn't. Right, so we've got that off. Now, we shouldn't have to take the face off. But that one's ticking away happily there, folks. That's really, really good. I'm really pleased with the way that one's working now. Let's hope it stays that way. As I say, I'm not really into working on clocks. I mean, I took one of them Big Ben West clocks apart when I was a kid, and belonged to my mum and dad. It was on their night table, on the table at the side of their bed, and my dad sort of questioned, where's the alarm clock gone, you know, and yeah, of course I'd got hold of it. There we are. Now that is actually made out of wood, but that has got to be the most tackiest movement I've ever seen. I'm not going to fully take the movement out. Well, I will actually, because there might be a maker's name on it. We might find out who made it, because Fred will only be pulling it apart anyway, so. But yeah, this is modern. Yeah, this is modern. This is, I mean, I don't know how old that one in that is, but it's certainly older than what this one is. This is as modern as tomorrow. Yeah, this is a modern movement, this. I mean, I'm not a clock expert, but even I can tell this is not that old. But we'll soon find out. Let's lift it out. There we are. There's our movement. Try and zoom in on it a bit and give you a better look. Right, and see somebody's nailed the hammer. There's the crotch for the pendulum. Crutch, sorry, I keep saying crotch. There's the crutch for the pendulum, and it's simple the way it works, really. I mean, clocks are really though, aren't they? I mean, I'm trying to see if there's any maker's name on it. This is adjusted. I'm not sure if you can adjust the crutch on this one. You must be able to. Not all of them you can. But just keeping my fingers away. See, and there's your, you know, there's your governor for your chime. And that, as I say, that's your crotch for your pendulum. And that does tick quite good. I mean, it's not dirty. There's no crap in this at all. That tells me it's a real fairly modern mechanism. This is not old. You know, the shaft's bent. I can't understand why, but the shaft's bent. But I don't understand why the shaft's bent. But anyway, if I was to do this clock, I wouldn't keep the case. I would actually probably have somebody make a case, or I'd look for a nice good old period case or something that would be more in keeping. Oh, always happens that, doesn't it? Put your screwdriver on put your screw on the screwdriver and it falls off. But yeah, so what do you call it, isn't it? It's yeah, it's a modern reproduction. I mean, it was worth well, actually, I gave £8 for this one. It was worth £8. It was worth £8 for the movement. I mean, in all fairness, it was worth buying for the movement. the case is crap, but it was worth buying for the movement. I mean, if you're after a clock movement for a project or something, then yeah, because the movement is working, and getting a pendulum, given that it's a modern one, and getting a pendulum wouldn't be a problem. You could probably fucking make a pendulum anyway, but yeah. I know there are some of you, there are some of you going to wonder why I'm messing with clocks on an electronics channel, but it's not a thing that's going to be continued, folks. Let's tighten this movement back in. I'm not really bothered whether it's square to the case, because Fred's only going to pull it apart when he gets it anyway. So, but yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not old. This. I mean, the face is nice on it. Don't get me wrong. So I don't even know if that's a 30-day movement, because the reason why I don't know is because, is this face original to that movement? You know, we don't know that, do we? So we don't know if it's a 30-day, 31-day movement. It might not be, for all we know. But this, I don't think the face is original to the movement, to be honest. This piece of wood I'm screwing back in here, this is not original, because no matter how cheap it was manufactured, it'd have been cut better than what this has been. I mean, it's not even straight there, so you know, it would have been, the job would have been a lot better. If it was a professional product, you know, a manufactured product, a mass-produced product, even, for want of a better word. But this is, I mean, the thing is mass-produced, but somebody's made that. Somebody's probably got it, and the face has been damaged, and or might have even been missing. It could even be fucking, you know, maybe two clocks made out, one clock made out of two. And we're at the old clock. 10 o'clock, folks. Just check that. Yep. It's holding time. Lovely, that mantle clock. Oh shit. Yeah, that works really well. I don't know how long it runs for, because it hasn't run long enough to run down yet, but I'm hoping I've solved that problem by adjusting the crutch and cleaning it and making sure that the mechanism, the movement, is squared in the case. This screw wasn't all the way in, but we'll put it all the way in, because here at Vintage Electronics Repair we do things correctly. Right, so what we'll do, we'll put the hands back on, and we did have it 3:15. I did think I said fucking 9:15, then, but it was actually 3:15. And you know, I don't think the shaft on this is actually bent, you know. I think the wood is warped, therefore the movement is not sitting flat, because that's not even sitting flat. So I think I think the case is warped. I don't think it is the movement that's. I don't think the shaft is bent, because I get the feeling if the shaft is bent, then what we'll do now, we'll put the hand on. I mean, you can't get that wrong. It can only go in 2 positions, so you can't really get that wrong. Like mine, it can go in a few, because this has an oblong slot, which means it'll only fit on either one way or the other. Right, let's just check it. Supposed to strike on the 4, might be slightly off. That's it. Yeah, that's not bad. But looking at that, that little noise you hear is it getting ready to chime, getting ready to strike. There we are. There's a bit of play in the hand, but that's striking perfectly, that. But yeah, this is rubbish. But like I say, you know, Fred will have a use for the movement, for the, you know, the movement in the face. He won't keep this case, I know him, and I don't blame him. But what we'll do, we'll put this out of the way, put it down here for now, put it upside down, it doesn't matter, it'll stand better. There we go, let's put it there for now. Right folks, and there's a key for that somewhere. There's a key for that on the bench, because I've got a key with each of them, so I know there's a key for it. There it is. I'll throw that inside his clock. No, actually I won't yet, because it's upside down. We don't end it up in the movement, do we? Anyway, thanks for watching this rather unusual video on clocks. Not something I usually do, and it's not something I aim to continue with. And join me for more electronic projects later on, folks. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Bye for now.